Hey, back again. As promised, I have another video coming up with using the leftover yogurt whey from my yogurt video the other day. And this has been started, and I actually put it in the refrigerator just to wait for me to want to make something with it. Today I'm going to try out a new pizza recipe that I saw on YouTube, but this is not what this video is about. I always have to try it first before I make my own video, because I might find shortcuts and just pass that on to you. But I am going to, because I'm using all the starter, I want you to see how easy it is to make a starter. Instead of one of these, I'm going to use two of these now, because it's easy to use it up, and if it behaves the way it has been, then it won't take long before I can use that for my video on sourdough bread. Okay, now if you followed my instructions carefully from the Greek yogurt recipe, you would have saved the whey in the refrigerator. And by the way, this whey does not go bad. I think they said you can store it in the refrigerator for up to weeks at a time. Mine don't last that long because I will use it in recipes for my rice or quinoa or beans or stews or spaghetti sauce, or even some drinks, because there are so many nutrients in this that you don't want to dump out just because you got your Greek yogurt. Can't live on Greek yogurt alone. So I'm going to show you how I use the starter, to make the starter for my sourdough recipes. So I've already got it started, and I want to put in, I did warm it up just a little bit, but it doesn't really need to be. So I started with half a cup of spelt flour. Most of the recipes I've seen for sourdough say that the starter is best if it's whole wheat, but I've done it with just unbleached organic flour. So I think organic produces the best results because you don't have all those glyphosates and all this stuff you don't want. Anyway, there's half a cup of flour in each one, and then half a cup of this whey in each one, and I'll mix it so you can see the consistency that it should have. How come it's not even? Okay. So here it is. And when I first tried making sourdough years ago, I did not have much success. I was trying to follow everything by the T, and I was told you had to feed it for 7 days. And this time around, I think it was like 1 day before I could actually use the starter. So I just started, waiting for the bubbles to show. Like, that's one of the signs. I think I'm going to need a little bit more flour in one of them. But you do, I gauge by how thick I want it to be. Give me a second. Okay, in real time it was more than a second, but you didn't need to know that. So basically how they described the consistency, it should look like a pancake dough batter, which most of us have made pancakes by this time, right? So that's it. And I just had to tweak a little bit. See, at the bottom there's a little bit of flour at the bottom, so I use these rubber whisks and just scrape it from the bottom. Nothing fancy, just scrape it and mix it in well. You can't really do anything wrong. I mean, once I figured out the secret formula, I've been making this like anytime I want bread. In the beginning, I was eating it every day, toasted with butter. But I slowed down, slowed my roll, got my fix of sourdough bread. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop making it. I just make it less often. So there it is. 2 of these starters, 2 of them ready to go for my next bread recipe. And in case I have never mentioned this before, I bought these knee-high legs stockings. I couldn't find them even in the Dollar Tree anymore, or Walmart. So I got them on Amazon, package of 10, and they come in handy for everything. I use them for tea bags. I use them to, to do pour over coffee, and I don't brew my coffees anymore. I just put my coffee in there, the ground coffee, and pour over the hot water and squeeze it out like a tea bag, rinse it, and you got it ready to go. So this also comes in handy for my starters, which you do have to leave open and aired. I'm just gonna leave it a little, put it in a dark place. By tomorrow, it will probably be bubbling. I mean, it was even bubbling already, but it should rise a little bit and bubble. That's how that you know that it's active and it's ready to use. But if you're not ready to use it, you can cap it up and put it in the refrigerator. Like I said, this one has been waiting to be used. And when I get to the sourdough recipes, I'll explain some of the nuances that you do need to know, but I'm going to use that today to make my sourdough pizza crust with this recipe that I just saw on YouTube, and I have to try it. So more later. And before I get to our sourdough bread recipe, here is what we do when the bread starts to turn white or not a little stale. This gets chopped up and goes to our bird and wildlife friends out there. And what's still good, I've made into my crouton crumb recipe. So mixed it, about a cup of olive oil, a cup of my walnut butter with all the spices. I've used a lot of spices and herbs in this, and it's ready to go crouton crumbs for stuffing, or grind it into a finer powder for your breadcrumbs, stored in the freezer, and you've got ready-made wholesome croutons or crumbs to put in your salad or in your recipes. And there you have that. I'm going to mix these up in a little bit, but just want you to see what went into that. And then I'm going to put it in to bake and dry out. They also make a great snack too. And this happens to be bread that I made from a variety of flours, rice flour, quinoa flour, that I ground up myself in the Vitamix, and I think I put coconut flour in there. So it's a multi-flour mix that I turned into bread yesterday and decided to make it into croutons or crouton crumbs today. That's it. Just a little follow-up from the previous video of my starter. This one is the one that I showed on my last video, and it had bubbled up, so I put it in the refrigerator, and it's showing signs of being hungry. That little brown liquidy stuff, sometimes it settles on top. It's called hooch. Yeah, almost sounds like, never mind. It's called the hooch. I'm learning the sourdough community lingo. But you can see even though it's been in the refrigerator, there's still some bubbles on top that are showing. And the hooch means it's hungry, which means I could feed it, or I could just go ahead and stir it and start my sourdough recipe today. This is the one I started yesterday, and it had some hooch in it, so I fed it. I stirred it in, and it's already showing signs of bubbling. So as you can see, it doesn't take 7 days. This was from a few days ago, and this was from yesterday. And this one I'll use today in my next video, which will be sourdough bread. In some videos, I've seen people that they name them. When I first started making this, I had like 5 of these, and I decided to put name tags on each of them. So I don't know why, but the Flintstones popped into my head. So they were Fred and Wilma and Barney and Betty, Fred and Wilma Flintstone, Barney and Betty Rubble, and I think I had Bam Bam in there. Not Pebbles. I didn't get a 6th one in there. Anyway, they all got used, and they all went into some delicious bread, but I'm not naming them anymore. It's like you don't name a pet duck if you're going to eat it, right? Or a cow if you're going to eat it. I'm not going to name my starters but here they are. So the one I'm using today, I just gave it a stir, and look at how it just makes this like bubbly noise. That's how you know it's ready to, that it's active. It's an active starter. I don't know, I started hearing about people on Etsy making their own, making and selling starters that are supposedly like centuries old, some of them. Why? I guess I just don't understand why. You're gonna put it in bread? Well, anyway, no, I'm not selling my starters on Etsy. Matter of fact, I'd like to get away from selling any products. I would prefer just doing these videos and telling you how to do it. And just doing this for my own pleasure. Okay, there it is. Okay, and now as promised, my sourdough bread recipe. And I will talk and walk you through it and also give you ideas for substitutes if you don't have everything. But this is where Little House on the Prairie meets modern day living, modern technology. For those of you that want to start making this on your own, you don't have to be intimidated anymore. I did that for you years ago, and then I tackled this on my own, and lo and behold, I'm doing this like on a regular basis. So if I can do it, you can too. You don't have to be retired either. All right, so remember the yogurt video and using the Instapot? Well, I just decided that I'm going to also try it to proof my dough in the Instapot with the yogurt settings. So I haven't done that before, but I'm pretty sure it could even be faster than my other way. So I am starting with hard red wheat berries. Just happen to have like cans and cans of this. So when I run out, those were left behind by a loved one. So when we run out of that, then I'm going to be ordering these online. After watching Sue Becker's work on how to grind your own berries, and no, you don't even have to have a grinder. Found out that I can easily put 4 cups of these wheat berries into my Vitamix. And what I do, that's 4 cups. So it's about the same. 4 cups of flour, whatever flour you want to use. I have used unbleached. I have used spelt. I've used different types of flour. And because I have this on hand, that's what I'm using. 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, or the salt of your choice. Some prefer Celtic sea salt. To me, salt is salt. It gives it flavor. And I'm not going to play that now. I'm not going to push start now yet. But I will come back and show you how to mix this all together. But the second ingredient is exactly half the number of cups as your flour, which has been working for me. I'm using the liquid whey left from the yogurt I made. It was in the refrigerator. I just heated it up just to warm, tepid temperature. Probably don't even need to do that if you want to skip that step. And it just might take a little longer, but you know, that's the second ingredient. No, third, because we've got the wheat berries, the salt, the milk whey, and of course their starter. So I will be back for the next part. So using the tamper on the Vitamix. Now the Vitamix does a great job of grinding this. Some people are buying home devices that they can grind their own flour. And I'm not going to get into the science behind why freshly milled grains are much better for you than any flour, and why you should use it as soon as you grind it. I just do it, and I love the flavor. I love the results, and I'm going to trust that the research behind it is accurate. People are actually healing from this old school method of using freshly milled flour. So that being said, this is, you saw when it went in. Well, this is what it looks like when it, I think about a minute and a half or less. That's what I did to get this on high, to get that flour texture. Okay, just to show you what I've done before, I did use my Beautiful Blend recipe for my other Holy Home dough, bread dough, and I decided to try it with sourdough and try it at the market. Actually sold quite a few of these. Men in particular seem to like that hearty wheat look, and it is hearty and it's wonderful. I keep it in the freezer until I'm ready to use it in the kitchen. Slice it, toast it on the grill top with some butter or your favorite tallow or whatever, but it makes the best toast, and the birds like it too. I'm watching them from the kitchen window. Anything that gets discarded doesn't go down our disposal. It goes out to the birds and they appreciate it. So that, and the way I decided to use the same thing. I've even baked in my breads in these, but that'll come in the next step when I show you how to use the parchment paper there. But this is just the initial mixing, which does not take as much time as my old school bread dough with the active dry yeast and all the kneading, and this is actually hardly any kneading. Putting the whole amount of my starter in here, because as I said, it doesn't take long to get that activated and to be able to use, and no, you don't have to have it in a jar, feeding it for 7 days. If you want to make a quick bread dough recipe that is less than 10 minutes of actual prep time, then this video's for you. I've watched other ones where they helped me eliminate my fear of doing sourdough. So all in here, I'll mix it with my hand, and I'll come back and tell you exactly how long it took before I put it in the yogurt maker and cover it while it proofs. Okay, that must have been at least 5 minutes max, and this is the consistency that I like to work with. It doesn't even stick to my hands. Didn't put any oil in it like I have in other recipes, but you can, speaking of other recipes, if you want to try this and you want to get creative, then take your favorite bread dough recipe. Could have oil in it, which mine do, but this one doesn't. So just wanted to show you the ease of making this all by yourself at home. Normally I'll put it in the same bowl where I mixed it and set it aside. Well, I'm going to do that with this Instapat stainless steel insert and try the yogurt setting for the first time, proofing my bread. I'll come back and open the lid a couple times and poke it and see if it springs back the way it's supposed to, and I'll talk about that when I'm ready to do that. So a little bit of storytelling while I'm going through this. I learned how to edit videos out of necessity. For those of you that I haven't shared this with, I happen to have a side gig of doing auditions for commercials, mostly auditions than the commercials I've booked, but it has trained me how to use the video features on my iPhone so that I can edit and cut and put it together almost effortlessly now. So that's a little side note. Yes, I've done about 5 commercials in 3.5 years, and I've averaged about 5 auditions a month, which has slowed down since we've been out here, but still booked one. So anyway, that's a little side note, facts about me that you might not have known. Anyway, so I came back to show you that one of the videos said to cover it so it doesn't stick to the lid. I don't think I'm going to have that issue, but I'm going to cover it with a paper plate. Push it in there. And then put the lid on. It goes on. There we go. Maybe a smaller paper plate. Oh, put the cap on. Didn't take so long this time. And setting it for the yogurt setting. Just doing it. I'm doing 8 minutes, but I'll check in on it. No, 8 hours. So I'll check in on it way before that, but I'll be back to show you what it looks like and how long it takes to look like that. Okay, so it's been 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I opened the lid just to see, and I also Googled, how do you know when it's ready to bake? And it says to push it in. If the indentation springs back slowly and incompletely, it's ready to bake. I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like it's coming back slowly and incompletely. But I'm not done yet. I am going to take it out and wash this pan and put the parchment paper in, and then I'm going to see about baking it in the Instapot. I will update in a bit. Okay, I decided I'm just going to go back to my other method. Although it did work for proofing the bread, I Googled to see if I can bake the bread, and some people do, but it says it doesn't, it comes out denser. So that's not what I'm looking for. I like the same results. So normally I would do everything in the same Dutch oven that can be used in the oven to bake later. So I'm just trying to use as little as possible and streamline this. And after much experimenting with parchment paper, I realized just take a piece that's big enough for a loaf of this size. I did work with it a little bit. I'm going to shape it now into a round, because that's what the Dutch oven is. It's round. And put it in the center of this parchment paper, like so. And then just slip it in. And you don't want any excess, because this is going to go in the oven later. Not yet. I still have some real proofing to do. The proof is not in the pudding. The proof is in the sourdough. I'd like it to rise a little bit more before I'm ready to actually bake. So I'm going to leave it there like so in a warm spot. And when I'm actually ready to bake it, this will hold the moisture in as it bakes, so you don't have to put a separate pan of water like some steps call for. And it's been foolproof so far for me, so we'll see what this one does. And good thing I can pause or edit these videos, because some people just don't want to sit through a lot of talking and explanations. I am one of those people sometimes when I don't have anything better to do, I'll watch the whole video through, make sure I don't miss a beat. But if I just want to get to the nitty-gritty and all of the steps right away so I can do it like now, then you can always push that little button at the top of the video that makes me sound like a chipmunk. You can go fast forward, and catch all the steps that way. Your choice, but I just decided to talk and walk you through this. Now, I don't know if you can tell that it's gotten higher, and I scored it earlier and it didn't look like it was ready to go in yet, but there's the dough. I set the oven, I'm going to cap that, set the oven for, no, not 325. It's heating up, but they say you can put it in cold, and I set it for 420, and we'll get back to let you know how long it took. Okay, I just took it out of the oven. It was about 40 minutes, 45, give or take a few, on the temperature of 420 degrees. And if you're using a thermometer, it says the internal temperature of a finished sourdough bread should be between 200 and 210. And it looks like it's there. So, taking it out, And yep, that's it. And I was curious to see how much it would weigh. It was so easy to slip out of that pan. No cleanup with the parchment paper. And if you don't have parchment paper, I'm sure you can just oil your pan and it'll come out just as nice. But don't take any chances. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. But I'm going to let it cool off for a while on a cooling rack and come back with a taste test. I am so proud of the way it looks. Let's see how it tastes. I'm gonna cut into it. Cooked all the way through. Problem with this is sometimes it tastes too good to have just one slice, but I'll just force myself just to have one slice. Nothing like fresh bread while the chicken's roasting and the broccoli's steaming. Hard to believe. Not talking with my mouth full. It's a hearty bread, soft on the inside, nice crust on the outside, not burned. Another way they say to tell is done. You tap it on the bottom and it's hollow sounding. That's another key with a thermometer. This is too good to have just one, but I'm just gonna have one. So that wraps up my sourdough bread with only 3 ingredients. The hearty wheat berries, but you can use any flour you want. The Milk Way, or you can use just water. And pink Himalayan salt. That's it, 3 ingredients. And the total prep time really didn't take much. If you want to go back and check, it really didn't take much. I talked through a lot of it, but let me know if you try it and what you think, and if you'll ever buy it again in the store, when you know you can make it so easy by yourself. Thanks for joining me. You'll see me in the next video.